Hey everyone, we're going to get started right on time and welcome to the Industrial Pay-Per-Click Playbook, how to buy visibility in a crowded market. Today we're really talking about targeting, budgeting, and quick wins with Google Ads and LinkedIn ads. And as you're joining us here today, you're probably thinking, all right, what am I going to get out of this? And ultimately we're going to take you through the three main areas that people really drop the ball, especially when you're talking about an industrial or manufacturing or specialized B2B sectors. We'll talk about why and probably places that you're seeing issues and you may not even know it. That will give you some ideas of things that you can address. And then we're going to take you through a 4-step quick playbook to immediately get good wins. And ultimately, there's two things I want you to take away from today. One, understand how pay-per-click between Google and LinkedIn. People look at it and go, oh, well, it's LinkedIn ads. It really is a pay-per-click as well. Ultimately, it works the same way as Google ads do. You're going to put an ad in front of an audience, either on LinkedIn or in search engines. So they're going to work identical. So a lot of things we're going to talk about today are literally, they work for both. We're not going to get too deep into details of building a campaign and everything else because I want to keep this short and sweet, about 20, 30 minutes at most. But I do want you to take away some quick wins. And if you're running campaigns, there's some things that you can literally get off of this video, leave the webinar, and go and make updates to. And if you're more of a CEO that's not running them but want to understand them, one, you'll know the lingo to talk about. You'll know exactly what to listen for when you're talking to either your internal team or a vendor. And you'll also have some input that you can provide. It'll also allow you to understand the campaigns that are running. And if you're going to pick this up for yourself and you haven't done it before, then it also gives you a little bit of a roadmap of understanding what that is going to be. So we've got a little bit for everybody and some things to take away. We always try to make sure that you have action items. And by the time that we're done, you will definitely have some action items to buy better visibility. And the reason why I call it a crowded market, I mean, ultimately, Google has always consistently had somewhere between 67 and about 76% of all search. Now with AI and things like that coming out, people are saying, well, that is degrading quite a bit, which I do agree with. It's still a massive player when you talk about search. When you talk about B2B, the only platform that's really ever always been like the top, well, we need to be on there is LinkedIn. But because those are the two go-to places, anybody that's advertising and promoting, they're going there as well. So you do have competition. It is crowded, which then makes it expensive if you don't do it right. And those are the things that we're going to cover today. Before I jump in a little bit further, a little bit about me and Blue Atlas. My name's Nate Stockard. I am president of Blue Atlas Marketing. We're a web marketing and full service digital firm going on almost 15 years in existence, helping B2B companies get more leads, convert more on their website, and ultimately get more business. We've helped a lot of different industries, but we primarily work within B2B, such as industrial, manufacturing, professional services, unique insurance specializations, and really, businesses within that sector. But we have worked with consumer businesses of small. We've worked with startups all the way to Fortune 500s. And so we've really seen a lot in our almost 15 years of existence on top of all of our team's experience prior to Blue Atlas. So with that experiences, that's what we're rolling out today. We have gone through trial and error. We have seen mistakes that we've made that we've had to correct over the years so that we can be the most efficient and effective team that we can be. And we're sharing that information with you today. So let's jump in and get started. One, why do most industrial pay-per-click campaigns fail? It really boils down to just a couple of things. First thing is budgets wasted on clicks from the wrong audience. I'll give you a particular instance. We kicked off a campaign for a company that helps with leak sealing on industrial pipes. So really they're talking about, refineries, oil rigs, processing plants, things of that nature. But when you want to stop a pipe leak, that's also considered from search engine perspective what somebody at home is going, my pipes under my sink are leaking. How do I stop a leak? They're going to be the same type of user that initially is going to be searching for that. And a lot of times pay-per-click campaigns are set up with broad targeting. You're like, well, I want everybody that's looking for leak sealing, for instance. That's going to cover a really broad audience. And a lot of that's going to be wrong, which means you're wasting a lot of your money on clicks from the wrong people. And if you have a small budget, you're going to blow through that budget before you ever get to the right people. And then you're going to say, pay-per-click doesn't work. But it does. You're just wasting money on the wrong audience and the wrong people. Number two is poor targeting. Once again, we're talking about kind of that ad shown to consumers and not buyers. But even if you get out of the consumer market, you build a campaign with your negative keywords, or you feel like, all right, I'm not gonna target them, say for in LinkedIn, for instance. You say, well, I'm just targeting all of these different categories. They're not consumers because this is LinkedIn. Or if you're in your search engines and you're blanketing that, your targeting is really not the best. And you're trying to really do a big shotgun approach, and you really can't do that in B2B. There's not really any kind of marketing activity that you can just throw it out there. If you're selling shoes or some type of consumer product, you can go blanket and shotgun approach. I still don't recommend it, but you can go that route because there's more consumers that could possibly be your buyer. When you go into B2B, it's a lot more specialized. You usually have a very unique, specific purchaser that you're targeting. And if you're just targeting a very wide group, such as B2B, and you're also targeting consumers, or you're targeting the wrong job roles, once again, you're wasting money. Your results are not going to be there. And the way things work now with each of the different platforms, used to, I could actually set up targeting. I could target one person based on, if I knew that person, I knew where they worked, or I knew a few demographics, I could literally target that specific person with an ad. Well, over time, people realized this seemed to be a privacy issue. So Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other entities started backing off for how much targeting they allow, and took control back from who's going to see your ads. This is a good and bad thing. One, I can't get as much of the targeting in place as I used to. But two, that's their platform. They know more about their users than we know. We're still kind of hoping that we're getting it right in front of the right people. They're going to put it in front of the people they know are taking action. If you're putting your ads in front of the wrong target market, they're not going to see who actually is a good fit. They're going to say, well, I put it in front of these people. They didn't buy. Maybe it's a bad ad. So now your ad cost is going to go up. Then you're blowing through your budget again because of poor targeting. And so this is really a big problem. And we'll talk about what to do to fix that here in just a second. And one more thing is there's no clear ROI. We're not seeing any kind of return on it. Leadership, typically, look at pay-per-click and go, it's just too expensive. We spent $1,000 to $5,000, $10,000 to really, and you can keep going with the budgets. You throw a bunch of money at it because someone says, well, you need to have a $50,000 budget to be successful. But if it's not built right, you're gonna go, man, I spent $50,000, and what kind of return did we get? And if you're not targeting and tracking the right way, and if you're not really building it in the right focus, with the right setup and steps, and kind of conversion funnel in that, you're not going to see a clear ROI. And so at the end of the day, you go, there's an expense. I don't know if I got sales from it. Let's can the program. And this is really why industrial pay-per-click fails more times than not. Ultimately, you fail and you abandon it before you ever actually see results. The good thing about pay-per-click, more than like SEO, social media content marketing, trade shows, all of those things, they all take a lot of time. If you want to run a pay-per-click campaign, you literally can fire up Google or LinkedIn and say, I want to run an ad, stick a picture on there and hit start. We can be on there. Now, obviously you should spend more time on it, but the quickness, how swift it is to get started, it's really useful. So we can get up and running very, very quickly, but you still should run it for a while, obviously adjusting based on your data. You need to run it for a little while so that the entities know exactly who's going to be the best fit for you. But unfortunately, we don't usually let it run long enough because we've already had these three mistakes happen. We're wasting budgets on the wrong audience. We're targeting the wrong people. We're spreading across the wrong users that are never going to be buyers. And we don't really know what we're targeting as a goal anyway. And so ultimately, we're looking at it going, well, this doesn't work. Let's can it. Let's switch gears. A lot of times that might happen after 30 days or 90 days. 90 days seems like a long time, but at the same time, if you do any other type of marketing, 90 days, you probably know, is not long enough to see a ton of great results and really get a refined system. The same does work for pay-per-click. So let's get these three issues here right, and we're going to take you through the framework to do that. Fix these issues so that you're working as best as you can from the get-go, and then things just get better. But instead of starting in the complete basement going, I've got to climb to the top and go through all of this junk and not making any money, let's make some money, and then let's just get better at it. So our targeting's better and those kind of things. Here's the thing, the industrial buyer reality, and we know this. One, there's long sales cycles. We know it takes a while. Often if you're in industrial B2B sector, You're not selling things. I met a client or I met a prospect today. We sold them something tomorrow. We shipped it out within 3 days. Sometimes it happens. Very rarely does it, especially the more expensive, the more customized things that you have. Your sales cycles are long. Two, you really have a niche audience. You have a small, you'll see this come up quite a bit, TAM, total addressable market. You really have a small total addressable market. It's not like you can just go, well, there's 1 million people in my county and I can sell to 70% of those. You might not have 1 million people across the entire country as a possibility in some instances. In others, you might only have 1 to 5 million. That's a very, very small audience when you look at LinkedIn and when you look at Google. When you're building an ad campaign, they'll literally show you, well, how big, how the size of your market, and if it's good. When it's that small, even in the 1 million, 2 million range, sometimes they'll say, hey, you might want to make it bigger. There may not be more than that. And so that is a little bit of a challenge to where you've got to do it right. Otherwise, you are going to blow through on one of those first 3 errors of the wrong audience or the wrong people. Another thing is often there's multiple decision makers involved, engineers, procurement, executives. There's a lot of people that are involved in it and have to be involved in the decision. Sometimes, what's being specified in plans, blueprints, etc. And then who ultimately is going to actually buy it, who is not involved in that process. And then who's got the final say so in looking at budgets. Your CEO's looking and going, all right, why did we spend this much money on it? And we're never involved in any of the rest of that. So you also have that as an issue with multiple decision makers. And that's why you have to be really smart with it. Now, the great thing is, as we go through our framework here in just a second, doing those things right. And it's not rocket science. You just got to spend a little bit of time going through them and being diligent about each of the steps. You can actually tackle these 3 challenges here. Unlike consumer ads, like I said, you really can't just do the shotgun your message. Like, hey, we've got the best shoes ever, or we got the best cereal, buy it now. You can't do that. You've got to really be sniper targeting, laser focused type of targeting with your ad groups. There's 3 areas that you're going to leak issues before we get into our framework. And I'll go through this pretty quick because it's very similar to what we've been talking about. And I want to leave it here before we move on to what to do next. Targeting too broad. You're too many wrong eyeballs, too many people, and ultimately you're spending a lot of money on the wrong people. 2, your budget gets spread too thin, that because you're targeting too many of the wrong people, you really have no visibility anywhere. When you're in front of the right market, they're not seeing it often enough to even remember or know who you are. It used to be you've got to be in front of somebody 7 times to get their attention. Realistically, and no one's really kind of updated that saying, I'm pretty sure it's more than double at this point because we're so inundated with all the technology and all the messaging that exists nowadays that you've got to be in front of them a lot. And so if your budget spreads so thin that somebody's only seeing your ad for maybe a few hours out of the day because you're blowing through your budget and you don't have anything left for them, you're not concentrating on that sniper targeting like we said. You're concentrating way across the board a little bit in front of everybody and nobody hears you. And ultimately, this is something I see a lot of the marketing firms do because they want to show numbers, but they're not following all the way through to the actual business and return of it, is measuring the wrong metrics. If all you're measuring is like, well, our click-through rate's great, that's important information. As we run campaigns, I do look at that. We want to pay attention to what our impressions are, our click-through rate, our conversion rate, our lead to, all those things. But if you're not looking at the full pipeline, you're going to come back and say, hey, well, those pay-per-click ads just not working. They're too expensive. They don't do anything for us. If you don't track all the way through the pipeline, you might find that you're actually getting enough people and the right people coming from the ads. They're getting to your landing page. The landing page is not working and your conversion rate there is terrible. Or they're converting to a lead, but no one's paying attention. And after they became a lead, that nobody's following up. And so that's where the fall is. So if you're not measuring the full pipeline and kind of stepping away from some of the fun, cute, easy numbers, like, well, we had 10 million impressions. Great. Did anybody click? That's not really that important. It is when you're running the campaign, but from looking and assessing how well your campaign is doing, measuring the wrong metrics will really put you in the wrong direction. Or you might be an inflated idea of this is working well when it's really not. So measure the right things and measure that all the way through your funnel and tie it to sales. These 3 mistakes are really going to drain your budget without driving any kind of a pipeline for you. So now, with all of that being said, what do we do? As I said earlier, this is pitched really for multiple audiences. One, if you're running campaigns, this will give you kind of where to go audit your campaigns. If you're the one actually actively managing your campaign, go take a look at these things and make sure that you feel good about each of those. And then when we talk about the metrics, make sure that you're actually looking all the way down. If you're not running the campaign and you're just wanting to learn really how pay-per-click works and if it's applicable for a B2B industrial manufacturing setting, these four things are what you really want to pay attention to. The first biggest thing on both Google Ads and LinkedIn ads is targeting. Make sure we're getting in front of the right people. And as I said earlier, the entities like Google, LinkedIn, et cetera, they have now pulled back a lot of the targeting. So we're not able to drill down completely into every single demographic and every psychographic out there for your audience. But you want to at least start with the right target while they learn who the best fit for you is based on your conversion, what you're trying to achieve, if it's traffic, if it's awareness, if it's leads, all of those things you'll set up in your campaign. Based on that, they're going to work with you to get in front of the right target. But if you don't give them the first good bucket to work with, they're working with everything that they have and trying to filter out from there. Now, that's okay if you've got a massive budget. Most of the time, we do not have a massive budget, and we need it to work right from the beginning. And so with like LinkedIn, we do have a lot of targeting options. We have, job titles, the industries. We start working on their intent. Google has always been more keyword driven when you're looking at pay-per-click, but Google has continued to introduce new elements where you can start to drive more buyer intent, audiences, and things of that nature. So one of the first places that you need to start is, who are we targeting? Is it the right person? Is it the right group? Can we narrow this group down any more? And one thing to do here with targeting is actually do some A/B testing. Instead of grouping, I've got 5 job roles I want to put into this. They're all about the same, but they've got different job roles at their company. Break them up into different ad groups. That way you can see if your targeting is correct. Maybe they all perform equally. Great. That is never happened for us. There's always 1 or 2 out of 5 that are going to work better and that prove to be the right ones that we should target, but spread them out. The great thing about building a campaign is you can put as much or as little into one individual ad group. So split up your target across several ad groups so that you can measure the difference of that different ones. Now, don't make it too many variables. Don't mix up 5 different variables in this one and another 7 variables on this one. Try to cut down on how many different variables there are from the ad groups because you're trying to figure out, is it, which job role, for instance, is going to work? Which company size will work? Kind of stick with one main variable from one ad group to the next when you're doing that A/B testing on your targeting. Number 2 is your budgeting. Really, obviously all of this we're talking about is I want the best. I want to spend the less to get the most. To spend the least to get the most. Obviously, we know that's what we're trying to do. And we've talked a lot about how you can waste budgeting. And what we're talking about is how you structure that for the best visibility. If your targeting is done right, then your budgeting doesn't have to be as big. It doesn't have to be spread over as many different things because you've got the right targeting. And really the biggest thing I want to touch on here with budgeting is what your main conversion purpose is. Too many times we'll go into audit a campaign and a new campaign is built and it is driven straight to leads. Well, of course we want leads. So that should be our conversion opportunity. I don't care about traffic. I just want all the leads I can get from it. The problem is those are really, really expensive. So you're going to blow through small budgets early on and go, well, this doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because 1, it's a new campaign. The entities don't know really who to put it in front of to get those leads yet. They need traffic. So often we'll recommend start your campaigns with a traffic goal on both Google and LinkedIn. I want to get as many people as I can to my landing page because then it gives you a couple pieces of data. 1, it gives you data of who's going to click. Now, LinkedIn, Google, they know who's a good target, at least for clicking. 2, because you've got pixels and the tracking for LinkedIn and Google on your landing pages, you now can tell, well, how well does it convert? I've got to get a ton of people there to know how well it converts. I can't drive 10 people to a landing page, and 5 of them convert and go, see, it's a 50% conversion rate. Drop 100 on there, that number may stay at 5. Now you got a 5% conversion rate. Big difference. Drop 1,000 people and it stays at 5. You can see where this is going. It gets really tiny. So you've got to get a good sampling. We usually look at about 1,000 people before I can start to trust my conversion rate. If I can drive 1,000 people there, I'll go, all right, if I got a 5% conversion rate, maybe I want it better, but at least I know that's fairly accurate what to work with. That also helps your entities understand what happens after they get to the landing page. Are you going to get leads from it? That's why you need to start with traffic. Traffic's cheaper, so your budget will go further, and you're building data. Now, as you've got a more mature campaign that's been running for a long time with a lot of data and a lot of information in there, then you can start really focusing on different lead campaigns and things of that nature. But if you're going something that mature that has a lot of different layers, one, you're probably already aware of these things. Two, you're going to be auditing it a lot deeper. What we're really targeting here is a lot of new campaigns, small campaigns that do not have a lot of data to work with. So in order to increase the opportunity for your budget, start with traffic. Don't start with awareness, because awareness is just going to give you engagement on those platforms. Like LinkedIn is going to give you, oh, well, we had tons of awareness because people saw it and they supposedly engaged because they stopped scrolling a little bit. To me, that's not, I don't really like that. I would prefer to see traffic so I know someone took an action. Everybody can say, oh, I like that billboard, and keep driving and never even know what it's about. But if they, go to the QR code or something, and this applies, LinkedIn ads, if they see the ad as they're scrolling and click and go to your landing page, they've taken the action to prove they are interested. They've kind of raised their hand or a little flag to say, hey, this might be for me. I want to see that happen. So start with traffic campaigns. That is going to increase your visibility, and it's going to increase your ROI long term, and it will increase your ROI even in a short term. It won't be as effective as it will be as you go and get more data, but it will increase your visibility. And then this gives you an opportunity because you've got enough traffic to start getting data versus little traffic spent heavily trying to go straight to the leads aspect of it. You can start to get some quick wins. Well, what's working? What's not working? If we go back to the targeting and say, well, we broke it up over 5 job roles. By the time you get 1,000 people there, you can start to feel like, all right, well, this job role is not clicking at all. We got to can that one. This one over here is okay, but these two right here are amazing. All right, well, let's double down there. We got some quick wins. We got some quick data. Let's go ahead and maximize that. And then you pull off those other, and now you've got those two. And then you start to test within those. Is it better with smaller businesses, bigger businesses? If you're looking at pay-per-click and you've got different ad groups, you might say, well, we thought these 5 different sets of keywords were most effective, but we've realized now with some data, no one's searching for this one over here. Everyone's searching for this one over here, but doesn't convert. But these 3 in the middle, they get us leads. They get us traffic. And so you'll find some quick wins on what's working very quickly. If 1 and 2 are done right, this third one with quick wins and where you really should capitalize and double down on will fall into place almost overnight automatically. And then that's where your optimization comes in. So now that we have some of those quick wins and we have that data, now you can go in and optimize what's working and then continue to do testing. When I talked about earlier, when you start to set up those targeting groups and you don't want to spread it across too many variables across, say, your 5 different ad groups, once you have narrowed down to say you start with, you really kind of say, all right, all the variables are the same, but our job roles are what we're testing. Well, out of the 5, we're going to go with these 2. Great. Take those 2. You can keep them split if you want, but this is where you can start to do some optimization to say, well, is it small company sizes? Is it this company size? Is it this particular area of the country? Those kind of things start to play and give you another opportunity to optimize them better. And that's where really this fourth step should never really happen until you feel good about 1, 2, and 3. And then you can go into 4. A lot of times we won't look at 4 as an opportunity in a campaign until we're at least 60 to maybe 90 days in. We haven't gotten quite enough data and we haven't A/B tested a lot of our initial variables enough to feel like, all right, now I'm in the optimization stage. I'm still in setup for the first 3 months. I'm trying to get as much business, as much traffic first, as many leads converted as possible, where that's always the goal. But I've got to take those steps to get there before that's effective. And I got to make sure my targeting is right before I go blowing too much money on it. I got to make sure that my budget is being spent properly and I'm getting people there. So our ultimate goal of leads is happening. Then as I'm seeing those quick wins and can make some adjustments and take advantage of those, then I go into optimization mode to go, all right, how can I do this better? And optimization is not just at the ad level. Optimization, as we said earlier, you've got to track your entire funnel. Optimization actually goes from my ad copy, my ad creative, my landing page, the landing page content, the form. All right, now we got conversions, we got leads. How's our sales team doing? What kind of sales did we get? And I can optimize it all the way down when I know from the top, my ads are getting traffic. Great, we nailed that. My landing page is getting leads. We've nailed that. Now I can optimize the next step and so on. And so ultimately, this is the 4-part playbook to run a successful LinkedIn campaign, pay-per-click campaign, etc. So where your ad dollars going? Here's the thing: every company's campaigns do leak differently. The only way to know where your waste is going and where it could be winning is with a diagnostic audit. And that's why I'm going to take you right back here to this page. That's why we give you this 4-part playbook, is because I want to give you what to do to audit your campaigns. And so ultimately, if you're not auditing it, if it's a new campaign, use these 4 steps. Start at number 1, do it right. Number 2, do it right. Then you can look at number 3, then go into 4. Number 4 probably happens after you do 1, 2, 3 over and over several times, several iterations, and then you can go into optimization. But if you've had a campaign running for a long time, you've got to do a diagnostic audit. You've got to be able to figure out what in the world is going on. And that's why we've actually created the revenue and ROI blueprint. It's a really simple result, but we're doing a full pay-per-click and funnel diagnostic. When I said you need to be analyzing what your ads are doing and then going into, all right, here's the metrics at the ad level. Here's what's happening at the landing page level. Here's what's happening in sales. We want to track it all the way down to see where the drop-off is, where the problems might exist, so that we can help guide you in what you need to do next. If you're running the campaigns yourselves, often it's really good to have a third party come in and do that analysis and then give you a full report. And we deliver a massive report and give you a full analysis on your targeting, your budgeting, and your campaign gaps. Really analyze what's working and what's not with all of our years of experience and with additional other industries and other sectors that you may not be considering because you're focused on your one. We bring a lot of expertise to the table. We're going to give you an ROI opportunity map that includes at least $50,000 worth of missed leads, things that you're already paying for that you're losing out on at least $50,000 in business. I can guarantee we can do more than that and show you more than that. And once we plug some of these holes in your funnel and some of those leaks, it's going to be a lot bigger. But we're going to at least show you $50,000 worth of missed opportunities that you can fix as soon as you have that roadmap and you start putting those things in play. I will give you a prioritized list of the roadmap for fixes. What's the fastest thing to do that's going to be the biggest impact? What's maybe the biggest impact, but it's going to take a little bit longer? What's going to be maybe not as much impact, but kind of a lower tier, but we still should look at it and do it. We're going to give you that priority in our revenue and ROI blueprint to go in and show you what to fix. And the great thing is, like I said, our revenue ROI blueprint, it's a $1,500 cost. We spend a lot of hours and a lot of our team dives into that. For that reason, we can only do so many each month. But because of that, and you put that money towards it, we also want to give you an opportunity to take that fee and apply it to growth system and fixing those issues. If you want us to come in and step in and do that, we can actually take this fee and apply it to those costs. So it ultimately ends up being a free blueprint to fix the issues that you have, find that 50,000 plus missed leads that are going to be fed right back into your revenue. So it's really a no-brainer. It's an easy win if you want to go forward with the blueprint. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people are also looking in and going, well, I don't know if I really want to jump into this yet. I'm not sure. We've been running some campaigns. Maybe they're doing okay. We do actually have a free, quick 15-minute check audit. We go through real quickly and take a look at your funnel from, kind of a real high level view. Often with that, we're able to identify some real quick fixes. Like, hey, here's a couple of things I can see right off the bat. Fix this right here, you're going to make more money. Fix this right here, you're going to make even more money. So we do recommend, it often comes down to one big, actionable pay-per-click or funnel improvement, but that one thing will show if a full blueprint makes sense. If you want to start here at this level, we can take a quick dive into it, give you 1 or 2 quick fixes, and then say, all right, I do see where there's some more opportunity here. There have been some audits that we've run and gone through and say, hey, you're doing everything great. If you just improve this one thing right here, I really think you've got a pretty optimized and maximized funnel. So sometimes if you're not ready to jump into the full audit, we do have a free option. But ultimately, I do recommend that you're taking some kind of action immediately. As I said, if you do with the full audit, we only have spots for 10 each month because it takes a lot of hours and it takes a lot of our team to pull that together. Because we want to take a complete deep dive, not just, some AI driven, let me throw in a URL and I'll tell you what your things are. We're doing a deep dive with all of the different elements and looking at the full funnel. We have a kickoff where we really get the best understanding of your flow, your sales process, so that we can start to identify where traffic to prospects to leads to sales where the drop-offs are. So we spend a lot of time with it. So, but even our free audit spots are limited as well. It takes time, and there's so many times that we can dedicate to that because our team is working to fix things and work through our continuing clients and continuing campaigns. Because ultimately, I just don't want you to waste money. I don't want you to waste it. Every day you delay on taking some kind of action is literally going to be more money gone. If you're interested in going right into the full blueprint, I highly recommend go to blueatlasmarketing.com/blueprint. Get a little bit more details of exactly what's the deliverable and if it's the right fit for you. Go right into that. Sign up today, and we'll get you guys started and get you set up for you. Go ahead and schedule your discovery call so that we can get all the information we need to get started, and we'll get rolling immediately. If you take action now, we actually are expediting that process to a 5-day turnaround versus a normal 10-day turnaround. If you don't want to jump into that, you want to go into the free audit, just hit us up in the chat or message us on our website, and we'll show you to the free audit so we can at least get you started with 1 or 2 quick fixes, and you can see if it makes sense. Like, can Blue Atlas really help me? You'll get an idea for that and what the type of things that we can deliver, and you'll understand that we really taking a deep dive will help save you money. Either way, act now. Make sure you're not wasting any additional pay-per-click dollars. And ultimately, that's what we're here for today. We wanted to make sure that let me stop sharing this screen here. But ultimately, we want to make sure you understand pay-per-click, you understand where you probably have some leaks, how to fix those things. And if you need a third party that can help and jump in on that, that's what we're here for. Take advantage of our free audit, or jump right into that full-blown ROI blueprint program, blueatlasmarketing.com/blueprint. My name's Nate Stockard with Blue Atlas. Thanks for joining us today. If you're interested in other webinars that we have, we cover a ton of topics from how to generate more money in trade shows, how to make your website convert better, how to utilize social media. When everybody says be on social, we'll talk you through how you're probably doing that wrong and how to actually make it effective. You don't need 1 million people watching all of your things in order to be the most effective. We have lots of webinars. You can go to blueatlasmarketing.com/webinars to see some of our future webinars and sign up. Thanks for joining us today.